When platform scholars think about platforms, they often think about those that participate as complementers. Through our research, what we really learned is that not all the firms that participate with the platform are indeed complementers. Many of them happen to be competitors, which might be engaging in very different strategies with the platform with different ends and different means. And from the platform owner's perspective, it's important to understand these dynamic strategies that firms are engaging in as they work with these partners to develop goods to end users, as they try to expand the offerings of their platform, as they think about the future evolution of their product. If we think about platform dynamics, some of the firms that engage with the platform may be collaborating with the platform. So perhaps they're using the platform to sell a new product. If we think about Airbnb, for example, hosts engage with Airbnb because they want to sell or they want to offer their apartments or their houses for rent. Now, arguably, some of these folks that are on Airbnb are also on VRBO. They may also be on HomeAway. So they might be taking actions that arguably some of which are good for Airbnb and some of which may be looked at a little bit competitively with Airbnb. So the firms that were in our study, they interacted with the platform in these really interesting ways. Some were collaborating, some were integrating, some were taking the information available in the open source community and consuming it for their own ends, which is more of a competitive strategy. And some of the firms were literally competing head-to-head with the platform, but were still engaging with the platform by sharing resources more broadly and contributing to the open source community. There's a question, I think, for platform owners around how much they should open their platform to outsiders, to other firms that may want to use their platform. So should they invite them to have access to their platform? Should they allow them to contribute or change the actual technical specifications of the platform? In our case, in our study, the founders of the platform realized that the best way to grow usership and adoption was really opening up this platform so that it could be more accessible to other firms to contribute and build derivative works on top of it. I think a lot of the literature focuses on devolving control of IP. So that is the decision whether I'm going to share my IP openly with a set of firms using a specific type of open source license or a license that specifies derivative use. What we're really interested in is what happens after you set the IP free. What we're interested in is how decision rights around a platform, how technical control of a platform, and then architectural control of a platform. So this is the interdependencies that happen across a platform are determined to end who has the rights to kind of determine how this is going to happen. And in our study, what we learned is a broad set of firms can have decision rights. They can technically be involved in determining the technical outcomes of a platform. But if there's not a clear orchestrator who determines the long-term vision of the platform, the direction in which the platform is going to go, which which market segments it's going to operate in, how long it will take to go there, in other words, the evolution of the platform, firms are typically less likely to want to engage. They want the type of certainty to know how they can best invest their resources in the platform and use it most effectively. I think one thing that's really interesting about the digital economy and the transition of the digital economy is the manner in which firms are engaging with their partners differently. So historically, the lines between collaboration and competition were very thick and very clear. For instance, I spent a lot of time working in banking. It was very clear that Citigroup was a competitor with Goldman, who was a competitor with JP Morgan. But as the economy is changing and we're moving more to a data-centric economy, who your competitor is and who your collaborator is significantly changing as well. You're seeing banks get together to develop new ventures historically with people who were literally their battle-tested enemies to develop new products and new services that have this data orientation. So I think these lines are becoming very, very thin. And this gives a new opportunity for us to study dynamics and how changes in platforms and ecosystems and fields shift the way that firms and individuals engage in these ecosystems. So again, kind of looking at the perspective of the participants versus kind of the bringers of the change, how do they adapt their strategies to move in this digital marketplace? As a researcher, I think we have to really wonder how the institutions that determined how employment initiatives would work, how they've changed because we've moved to kind of a more contingent economy and a more kind of an economy where work can be loosely coupled, where you can work for me on Upwork, or I can hire you through TaskRabbit, and we've become very transactional in that way. How do employment relationships change because of this? For me, I think this is really personally an interesting question, because as we think about the delivery of education over time, if we kind of think the delivery of service and goods, how will these contingent work environments that are enacted or enabled through kind of digital mediums and digital platforms, how will they change the way that we connect and deliver services? I think that's a question all of us should ask and be considerate of moving forward. In my own personal work prior to kind of going into academics, working with banks, the digital economy is probably the thing that they are most concerned with for two reasons. One, it's such a significant way to make their businesses more efficient. So arguably, as you move to technology, as you're able to automate more processes, you're able to really not just kind of cut out cost centers, but you're able to speed up the delivery of your service and your product. So the banking industry is moving to become a real-time delivery of goods and services, which, arguably we think about banking, we think about, I put my card in the ATM and I get money right away, but that's not really behind the wall. That's not exactly how it works. The settlement process takes quite a while. So these mechanisms are really speeding up the delivery of service. So both from kind of an efficiency standpoint and also thinking about new products and services that can be delivered because of the speed created in this digital economy, or this digitization of the economy. Banks have really, I think, have a unique opportunity to change the way that they deliver service.